In today's video, we are reviewing the Viltrox 27mm f1.2 XF Pro lens. So let's get right to it. What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining me. As always, my name is Pete Coco. I am a professional photographer based in New York. Now, Viltrox recently sent me the 27mm f1.2 Pro lens to test out for Fujifilm X mount, and I'm excited to share my thoughts with you on this lens, which is the second lens in their Pro lineup. But before we continue, please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my videos. Gently press that like button, as there is no need to smash it, and let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now, I've been using this 27mm for a few weeks now, and the other day I had the chance to photograph a jazz concert out on Long Island that featured some living legends of the music. So I decided to bring my X-T5, the 27mm, the Fuji 16-55, and my favorite lens, the Fuji 50mm f1. And I was really impressed by the performance of the 27mm lens, but mostly due to the image quality, which is really excellent. So let's talk about that first. Now, the 27mm is incredibly sharp, even wide open. It renders a ton of detail, and I found it to be a wonderful pairing to my X-T5's 40 megapixel sensor. The colors are vibrant, the images have a beautiful amount of contrast and tons of detail. Since I absolutely love to shoot wide open, I found that the 27mm offered very pleasing bokeh and a natural separation between the subject and the background. When reviewing the images, it was easy to confuse the ones I took with the 27mm with the ones I captured with my 50mm Fuji f1 lens, although the 50mm does edge it out in terms of detail and also dynamic range. But Viltrox continues to up their game when it comes to image quality, and the 27mm did feel right at home among my more expensive Fuji lenses, which was really impressive to me. It also has an awesome close focusing distance, so you can use this for nature photos as well as other applications too. The 1.2 maximum aperture was a huge advantage while shooting a concert with minimal stage lighting, and after shooting for a while with the 27mm, I switched to my 16-55mm, and I was reminded of how much more light gathering ability the 1.2 f-stop offers over the 2.8. I was able to use much lower ISO values with the 1.2, and I appreciated that so much, and that's also why I love to use the 50mm f1, since I do a lot of concert photography. All right, let's talk about build quality. Like the 75mm 1.2 that Viltrox introduced as the first in their Pro lineup, the 27mm is made of metal, has a metal mount with a USB-C port integrated for firmware updates. It features a wide and easy to use manual focus ring, as well as an easy to find aperture ring. And the aperture ring has a very refined click with soft click between the stops that feels like it's from a much more expensive lens. I do, however, wish it had a locking mechanism for when you put it in the A position. It also has a gasket around the lens mount, and it is dust and splash proof, which makes it really suitable for all kinds of shooting situations. The lens, by Fujifilm standards, probably isn't what you'd consider small, although I don't think it's large and it didn't feel bulky to me. But this, of course, depends on the lenses that you're used to using on your Fuji camera. The 27mm is probably similar in size and shape to the Fujifilm 56 f1.2, although I did review that a while ago. It is smaller than the 16-55, and I didn't find it to be burdensome or too heavy when paired with the X-T5. The autofocus performance is where I noticed the biggest difference between this lens and my Fujifilm lenses, especially with the 16-55 2.8. The AF is not bad, but I felt like it lagged at times before it locked the critical focus. Although when it did lock onto the subject, the images were sharp without any issue. When I shot the jazz concert, I decided to use the old school method that I learned growing up, which is to use a single focusing point in single shot and then to lock the focus and recompose when necessary. I also used an AFC, which I found to be a little sluggish compared to the Fuji lenses. And I am using the latest 4.0 firmware update for the X-T5, which people have complained about in general regarding the reliability of the focus. I did find overall the autofocus speed of the stepping motor to be the biggest trade-off in what I missed from some of my other Fuji lenses, but really not by much. And this, of course, does depend on the specific Fuji lens that you are using, since they vary greatly in their terms of AF performance. So I guess the best way to describe the autofocus in this lens is comparable to the Fuji with a stepping motor, and better than the older ones for sure, like the 35 f1.4. The 27mm motor is silent, and for the few video clips I took, it did a good job, although, like most of my reviews, this is really focused on still photography and not video. Now, finally, I want to discuss the focal length of this lens, which is roughly a 40mm lens in full frame terms. So the question is, what is this focal length ideal for? And I think the answer is both everything and nothing at the same time. So what I mean is 40mm is a great all-around focal length for portraits, nature, family photos, street photography, all kinds of stuff. But I personally prefer a lens that is either wider or more telephoto. And in fact, the Viltrox 13mm 1.4 was one of my favorite lenses to use for concert photography and portraits, because I liked the distortion and the wider field of view to create some interest in my images. Now, I'll link that below if you're interested in checking out that review. But as an all-around super fast lens, though, the 27mm is hard to beat. And if you love shooting prime lenses like I do, this will force you to move around and find those interesting compositions that will bring your images to life. So I think you're going to absolutely love it. So again, this focal length alone, the focal length, I think it's great for a lot of things, but maybe not ideal for any of them. Well, that's all I have for you today in this quick review. I hope that if you purchase one of these lenses and you found this review helpful, that you use my links below, preferably the links from B&H Photo in New York, who have been a great support to my channel. Also, I've got Amazon links down there as well if you decide to use those. And once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave me a comment below. Here's wishing you all an amazing day. Go out and take some great pictures, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.